My family excluded me from my younger sister Sarah's wedding. Don't be dramatic, my mother insisted when I didn't receive an invitation. It's just one day. Instead of attending, I booked a luxurious getaway. Days turned into a week, and my phone remained stubbornly silent. No calls, no texts, nothing. The truth emerged 3 months prior at a family barbecue hosted by my Aunt Mary. My cousin Jessica casually inquired, excited for Sarah's big day. She flipped a burger as if she hadn't just detonated a bomb in my chest. "What big day?" I asked, feigning surprise. She laughed, mistaking my reaction for sarcasm. "The wedding." Silly, I managed a strained smile, excused myself to check the coleslaw, and promptly spent 10 minutes in my car trying to process the seismic shift in my reality. My sister Sarah, the undisputed golden child since birth, was getting married, and I hadn't even received a save the date. It shouldn't have surprised me. I'd always been the dependable, unseen older brother. Sarah had been the sun in our family's solar system since she was born. Front row seats at her dance recitals, lavish birthday parties with ponies and bouncy castles, a semester abroad in Rome, all courtesy of the same parents who told me, at 17, that college wasn't financially feasible. At 18, I worked full-time stocking shelves to contribute to our electricity bill. But this was different. This hurt more than I anticipated. Not being invited wasn't an oversight. It was deliberate, cold, and humiliating. I maintained my composure throughout the rest of the barbecue, engaging in polite conversation, and offering a cheerful demeanor. Inside, however, I felt like I was watching a family I barely recognized move forward without me, separated by an invisible wall of glass. Was there a reason I wasn't invited to Sarah's wedding?
A pause.
The clinking of a spoon against a ceramic mug.
Oh, that?
That? I repeated the question. Well, she said, as if discussing the weather, it was Sarah's special day. She wanted something small. Small? I asked, my voice cracking. You invited 50 cousins, I pointed out. Mom sighed. Look, don't be dramatic. It's only one day.
I'd hoped for an apology.
Some empathy. Instead, I received the same dismissive tone, the familiar refrain of "stop making this about you." At 32, I felt like a ghost at my own family's table. I thanked her, hung up, and stared at the ceiling. Something had shifted within me.
I was done.
No more playing the supporting role in my own life. No more being the dependable sibling who always showed up, paid his share, and kept silent. If they wanted me gone, I'd show them what that truly meant. So, I booked a trip. First class, a luxurious villa overlooking the ocean. Mykonos. This was merely the beginning. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving, not even my colleagues. I requested time off, packed a bag, and vanished from the group chat like a phantom. A week before the wedding, I flew to Athens, then took a short flight to a small island whose name I couldn't pronounce. Let me tell you, if you've never arrived in Greece during golden hour, you're missing out on a life-altering experience. My villa clung to the cliffside, seemingly carved from the rock itself, whitewashed walls, a blue domed roof, and an infinity pool overlooking the Aegean Sea. I didn't even remove my shoes. I dropped my bag, grabbed a bottle of water, and walked directly onto the balcony, as if I owned the place. True tranquility. Not the feigned calm of family gatherings. Not the relief of paying off a debt. This was different. It was the kind of peace that enveloped you in salty air and sunlight and whispered, "You owe no one anything." For 24 hours, I didn't post anything on social media. I simply soaked it in. On the second day, I shared a picture, no caption, no tags, just me on the deck at sunset. The water behind me painted in hues of lavender and gold. I held a glass of wine, offered a subtle smile, and clicked share. The response was swift. 3 dots from my mother in the family chat, typing, then silence. Sarah viewed the story but didn't contact me. Jessica sent a fire emoji. My aunt commented, "Living the dream." I didn't respond. Instead, I booked a sunset yacht cruise. By the 3rd day, I was savoring freshly caught sea bass at a restaurant so exquisite I almost wept into my tzatziki. I shared a picture of the plate and the view, letting them connect the dots. I never mentioned the wedding, Sarah's name, or her actions. That would have been too obvious. I wanted them to feel my absence, to sense the void. Pastel dresses, monogrammed napkins, and perfectly staged photos screaming perfect family. I imagined them posing, clinking glasses, pretending everything was idyllic. In every photo there would be an empty space. No brother of the bride, no toast from an older sibling, only a silent void where I should have been. Let them wonder, let them whisper. I no longer cared. I was finished waiting for an invitation. This was my life, and I was going to live it, even if I had to do it alone. 12 a.m. Greek time. My phone buzzed on the marble nightstand, jolting me awake with that insistent vibration that always signals trouble. I squinted at the screen. Missed calls from Mom, Aunt Carol, then 2, 3, 4, 5 more, from Uncle George, Sarah's friend Chloe, and Dad's new wife Susan. My mind raced to the worst-case scenarios. Had someone been hurt? I unlocked my phone. 23 missed calls, 7 voicemails and 4 text messages. All variations of call me now. Jessica's text finally provided some clarity. Holy crap, have you seen this? It's all over TikTok. I frowned. What was trending on TikTok? She sent a link to a 47-second video posted just hours earlier. The thumbnail was blurry, but it looked like an event hall with confetti on the floor and a woman in white. I pressed play. The video began with chaos, screaming, people rushing for the exits, a woman in a bridesmaid dress throwing a bouquet, not ceremoniously, but directly into someone's face. The camera then focused on Sarah. She was sobbing, screaming incoherently at another woman. Someone shouted, "That's the maid of honor." I paused, rewound, watched it again. It was Olivia, Sarah's best friend and maid of honor. The groom stood between them, hands raised as if trying to defuse a bomb, while his new wife and another woman tore into each other in front of 150 horrified guests. Despite the poor audio, I could make out the words. "I love Bella," the groom said. "You vile snake. You were supposed to be my friend. We slept together while you planned this wedding." I sat there, stunned, phone still in my hand. My sister's wedding hadn't ended with dancing, sparklers or a limousine ride, but with betrayal, shouting, and a full-blown bridesmaid brawl, all captured on film. The video had tens of thousands of views, and everyone in my family was calling, not to apologize, not to explain, but to beg me to come home. By lunchtime, the calls had shifted from frantic to pathetic. Mom had left 6 voicemails, each more desperate than the last. The third one was particularly striking. She was crying, or pretending to. "Daniel," she sobbed, "please, your sister is a mess. We need you here. The whole family is falling apart. We didn't realize what this has done to us. To us. Not to Sarah, not to the bride whose wedding turned into a soap opera finale. As if the family's reputation was the true tragedy." I sat on my sun-drenched terrace, barefoot, sipping Greek coffee as the waves whispered below. It was almost too perfect. The contrast of her broken voice pouring from my phone while I watched sailboats glide across the horizon, oblivious to betrayal, was stark. Then came a text from my father, the man who once told me to man up when I cried after being rejected from college. "Son," he wrote, "I know things have been tense, but your sister is hurting. This is when family pulls together." Family. That word had been weaponized so often in my life that I no longer trusted its meaning. For them, family only existed when I could be useful, when bills needed paying, when things broke. Dependable Daniel was there to quietly fix it. But now they could see what life was like without me, and the silence at Sarah's wedding, the absence of her brother, the one who always showed up, even when unasked, had finally broken the spell. I didn't respond immediately. I let the day unfold like a slow golden dream. That evening I shared another photo, myself at the helm of a yacht, a wine glass in hand, the wind whipping through my hair, the sky ablaze with gold and crimson. No caption, no comments. Just me, happy, unreachable, and free. By midnight I received a message from Sarah herself. Not a call, but a text. "I know I messed up. I should have invited you. I didn't think it would matter this much. Please. I need my brother right now." When you ignore the one who holds everything together long enough, they eventually stop. I didn't reply, not to her, not to anyone. But I reread her message the next morning, and the one after that. She followed up with, "Please, just come home. We'll talk. I just need you here." A few years ago I would have booked a flight that night, bought flowers, returned to that house with open arms, and a tight smile. The reliable son, the steadfast brother, the one who cleaned up the mess after everyone else left. But that version of me, he didn't go to Mykonos. I'd spent years silently carrying burdens, bills, emotions, apologies that never came. And now, here I was, on a covered patio overlooking the sea, realizing that maybe I didn't need to carry any of it anymore. They wanted me back home, not for closure, not to reconnect, but to play the role they'd assigned me the day Sarah was born. The brother who claps politely, the brother who gives up his savings for tuition, the sibling who's ignored until needed. I spent the morning swimming under a sky so blue, it seemed painted. I met a couple from Barcelona, who thought I was a travel writer. I didn't correct them. We shared wine, stories, laughter. Nobody asked about my sister. Nobody cared that I'd missed a wedding, and for once, I didn't feel guilty. Tell Sarah, I hope she finds peace. But I'm not coming back. Not now. Maybe not for a while. Maybe not at all. I saw her read it. No response. Just the familiar silence I'd grown up with. But this time, it didn't sting. It felt like freedom. I raised a glass to the moonlit sea and whispered, quietly but firmly, let them feel it. The interesting thing about silence is how quickly people try to fill it when they're unaccustomed to it. Back home, I was the one who kept the wheels turning. I checked in, sent birthday cards, remembered anniversaries nobody else did. I paid attention, even when unasked. And when I stopped, they had no idea what to do. The communication didn't stop. It just changed. Guilt gave way to flattery. You've always been so grounded, they said. Your sister says you've always been the strong one. This family needs your example right now. But none of them said, I'm sorry, not for the years I was ignored, not for expecting too much, and receiving so little, not for prioritizing Sarah's comfort over my inclusion. And that told me everything I needed to know. I spent the rest of the week, as if I'd finally shed an old skin. I hiked ancient trails in Santorini. I stood atop volcanic cliffs, watching the stars twinkle on the water. I ate olives and honey cheese, on a balcony with strangers who became brief but delightful companions. I didn't discuss my family. I didn't need to. When I looked at the life I was creating, calm, beautiful, entirely my own, I recognized something simple yet profound. I had never been happier, not because I'd escaped my family, but because I'd finally stopped performing for them. Why wasn't her brother there? It spread. It turned out that when you've been the steady hand for so long, your absence is more noticeable than your presence. For years, they'd built a narrative around Sarah's perfection, picture-perfect bride, golden girl. And when it all crumbled, when the fairy tale shattered on the dance floor in front of everyone she'd tried to impress, I wasn't there to help her rebuild it. People noticed. Not just because I was missing from the photos, but because for the first time my absence held meaning. I didn't gloat. I didn't comment. I didn't even nod when people brought it up, because I didn't have to. They were doing all the work for me. The same people who used to call me too quiet, too serious, too much in my own world, now said, I understand why he stayed away. It wasn't vengeance. Not really. It was reality. Finally revealed. It's strange how visibility works. For years I remained in the background, the one taking the photos, never in them. The one staying late to clean up, while everyone else celebrated. The sibling whose birthday was mentioned in a group text, if at all. And then suddenly, people couldn't stop talking about me. Not because I said anything, but because I didn't. Back home, the fallout from the wedding continued. The video had gone viral in certain online communities. Nothing huge, but enough to shame Sarah within her social circle. People unfollowed her. Some bridesmaids deleted their reception photos. It wasn't just the drama. It was the public exposure of the betrayal on her supposedly perfect day. And the one person who could have offered her some dignity, her brother, was absent. Freedom. Untogged. Unfocused, yet undeniably felt. My mother's texts shifted again, from pleading to bargaining. Your sister is struggling. Maybe you could call even for 5 minutes. She keeps asking if you're okay. This family is hurting. Please come home. It was almost comical. Where was this concern when I was hurting? When I was silently excluded from celebrations? When I watched Sarah open expensive gifts while I received a card with no cash and an awkward smile? I didn't ignore the texts. I simply didn't respond. I extended my trip by another week, then another. I discovered a smaller, less-known island. I rented a cozy studio apartment that smelled of salt and fresh paint. I shopped at the morning market. I learned to order coffee without sugar and broken Greek. The baker on the corner started calling me my friend with a wink. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was running away from anything. I felt like I had arrived, not just in Greece, but in a version of myself I'd never met before. A version who didn't have to be anyone's fixer, favorite, or forgotten second-place winner. Simply a man sitting under a fig tree, finally breathing without apology. It came late one night, almost 2 weeks after the wedding. My mother's name appeared on my screen. I let it ring twice, just to remind myself I didn't have to answer. But this time, I did. "Daniel," she said, her voice soft. "Hi, Mom." Silence stretched between us. I could hear her breathing, as if searching for the right words, but there weren't any. I'd already left the stage. "She's not doing well," she said. Finally. "She doesn't leave the house, barely speaks." "I'm sorry to hear that," I replied, and I meant it. "Mostly, I just wish you were here," she said. I looked out at the dark window, the gentle chime of a neighbor's wind chime, echoing on the breeze. "I was there for years," I murmured softly. "You just didn't notice me." She didn't argue. Didn't deny it. That silence was the first honest thing she'd said in a long time.
Are you coming home?
She asked. I smiled faintly, gazing out at the tranquil Aegean. "No," I replied. "I think I'm finally home." Lightness. No more proving my worth to those who only saw it after I was gone. No more waiting for apologies that never came. I didn't have to burn bridges. I simply needed to stop crossing them. Sometimes the best revenge is peace. And I was just getting started.